All right, so today we're going to work on the buildings, and for the first layer, we're going to use burnt umber, titanium buff, and ultramarine violet. I'm using a flat brush or bright, but it's good to have one that has a good edge. So these are those buildings. There are a lot of straight lines, so it helps. All right, so let's start. I'm going to mix burnt umber and titanium buff. And we don't have to have the same, and we don't want to have the same shade of color or value every time exactly the same. So if we mix a batch and we need to mix another one and it's not the same, that's okay. It's actually a good idea, it's not a bad thing. So we need kind of a mid-tone, not too dark, not too light. I added ultramarine violet in it. We need that kind of cool colors in there because cool colors recede. And this is the ones in the background here. So let's start with the first one and see. We might have to adjust the color a bit. Okay, that's good. Sometimes I would probably take a little bit more of the ultramarine violet and add it on. We can paint the whole thing first, and then we will put the light on the side, lighter color on the side, or wherever we need to put a change of value. We'll do it after. So for now, let's just work on getting the buildings in there, putting them there. All right, I'm not concerned right now. I'm not going to go into the detail, any detail, just kind of general. Okay, some areas we might need to go a little bit darker, like now. With this one here. If you need to turn your canvas around to get a straight line, do so. Of course, we will have to kind of adjust the values because, acrylic dries darker. Okay. A little bit more. Adjusting the color a bit. So we have to keep in mind that the other building that's in front of it is going to be darker. So we have to adjust. We can't go too dark here. First layer is dark right now, but that's okay. We are going to adjust the values in a minute. I like to adjust values when the color is dry because I can see. I will highlight it. It's like painting fairy tale. Castles. We need to put a little bit of a texture in there. So if it's kind of too flat and you don't see any kind of movement in the color or texture, add a couple of brush strokes to make them to give it a bit of interesting texture. Okay, now this is okay. And I would like to make one side, and because this is what I'm seeing in there, one side a bit lighter. So I put now one color all over, kind of. Now I'm going to go back and start putting a bit of highlights. So something like, because this is not flat. So let's go in here. I have more of the titanium buff in here in the color. It's not titanium buff by itself. detail right here. Yes, a little bit of highlights, a bit of movement of highlights so it doesn't look flat. What else? We can do a couple like here, a couple of highlights, lighter color, lighter value. It doesn't have to be exactly the same what's in the reference. Just a bit of movement in there is fine. I'm taking now just titanium buff, and I'm going to put there's a nice opening, like a window right here. And I'm going to open that one too. All right, that's good. Good. All right. Just adjusting, some of these darks in here, like the highlights, they're a bit dark. So I'm just giving the buildings a bit of movement. All right. Good. I'm going to stop for now. Just pause a bit and then we'll come back. All right, we're going to put some detail right now. So I mixed again some burnt umber and ultramarine violet. And I'm just going to put detail on here, which is very hard to do with a brush. But a bit of detail. It doesn't have to be perfect, and it's not going to be perfect. So just tiny bit of detail here to finish off this building. So line up and then a circle, line, circle. I'm using a round brush. Any brush you have that works is fine. Okay, all right. Let's move on to the building that's right here. We'll use the same colors. They're very close to each other, so it's fine. Again, we'll go back to mixing burnt umber, titanium buff, ultramarine violet. Mid-tone. With the ultramarine violet showing more than the brown. Okay, let's try that. You know what, I'll leave this round detail on top for the round brush. Here, let's do that. It's amazing detail, so beautiful. To think that it's on tall buildings. Actually, it's very impressive when you see them in real life.
This is the same color mix. Sorry, I wasn't listening.
Yeah. Same. I'm not using, putting a strong detail in here. So whatever I get, it's fine for now. This is kind of in the background. Let's go back now to the rest of the building. Okay. Move on. Okay. I'm going to go into a little bit more of, I'm waiting for the paint to dry. So I'm going to adjust the details a bit. Some details in here. Okay. I'm just waiting for it to dry so I can add some highlights. Meanwhile, I'm going to take burnt umber and ultramarine violet, make a dark color. Not too dark though. Let's highlight it a bit. And put this window. Soften it a bit with some highlights. So I did use, I used titanium, burnt umber and ultramarine violet, and then I added a tiny bit of titanium buff in it to soften the dark, because that's very dark. It's the paint is bleeding a bit because it's wet. All right. Meanwhile, while this is drying, I'm going to take titanium buff with a tiny bit of burnt umber, but a lot more titanium buff, round brush, and I'm gonna come here and put windows in here, like those openings that we have that you see. Now I would like to highlight this part. So I'm using titanium buff with the original color. I'm adding more titanium buff in it. Doesn't have to look sharp, perfect. I'm just giving it some texture or movement. Okay. we will have some kind of a foggy thing going up here in front of the buildings. You know, we did the background, but once we do the buildings, some of this fog or smoke or whatever we see in there is in front of some of the buildings as well. So we will do that after. All right, so this is okay. Let's leave it like that. I'm gonna start recording, or actually pause. All right, so now we're going to work on these two buildings right here. For this one, I'm going to use my round brush, the top for the rooftop. But before I do that, I'm gonna mix some colors, some paint here. All right, I'm gonna try it now and see. This detail is the hardest part. Those little tiny thin lines. But honestly, we don't have to get them exactly the same, looking exactly the same. A hint is fine.
It's the same color?
Same color, yes. Same.
A little bit more purple, maybe?
Sure. Yeah.
No, it just looks, yours looks a little more than this. Maybe just the way it looks on my screen.
It's looking a little bit more purple. You're right. It's looking more purple. It might have.
I like it looking.
Yeah, it might have a little bit more purple than before because every time I mix the color, it's not. I'm not mixing exactly the same combination. So yeah. Try to adjust the shape while the paint is still wet. It's easier. Okay. Okay. Let's keep going. All right. It doesn't have to look perfect here. I don't know what's happening anyway, so it's fine. It's fine. A bit of detail on top. Thin line, and then a couple of lines across. All right, so now what I'm going to do is clean up a bit, let it dry, and then I'll highlight, and it will be fine. Silhouette of this building in the background is enough. And I'm just waiting for it to dry so I can put a bit of highlights. Give it a bit of more interesting shape. While this is drying, I'll just work on the next one, and then I'll come back to this. All right, good. Let's work on the next one. This one is slightly lighter than the one in the back. You know, actually, this one here in the front has a has a bit of blue in it. So for now, I'm just going to get the shape going, and then we'll get some color on top of this. Okay, bit here, a bit of darker shadow in here, line, and a line right there, darker. Roof, top upper part. There's also some orange in the windows, which is nice to show right here. So we'll do that later. For now, let's just keep working on the shape. All right, we'll go back to main, rest of the building. Right, we can start highlighting a bit. I need more Ultramarine Violet. brown. Before I move on to the highlights, in this part of the building right here, this part is darker. And this part is darker. Also, let's bring this out a bit. What else do we have? Another line here. Just makes it more interesting when you have a little bit of detail. All right, what else? Right here. Right here. And also, the building in the background will have a bit of darks down here on this part. All right. Now, one more little detail again with darks. So this door right here should be darker. And a small little detail on top. Yeah. Perfect. Now I'm going to highlight this part. It has a nice highlight. I'm going to add again just titanium buff right here. And create kind of a highlight for the roof. Let's see how we're going to do this. Okay, a little bit more. More titanium buff. There's a really nice detail here. I'm just mixing Ultramarine Violet and Burnt Umber. And I'm going to go here and add that little, enhance this color, just darken there, and then put another one right here. Another curve. I'm going to adjust the value here. That's better. Now we can put a bit of blue, and I think Payne's gray will be good here, or if we take a tiny bit of cobalt blue. Take some cobalt blue and mix it with, I'm going to mix it with burnt umber, ultramarine violet, cobalt blue, and then I'm going to put titanium buff on top. Then I can see, I want like the blue to be grayish blue. Perfect. It's perfect color. Grayish blue, it's not too strong. It has a bit of purple in it. Maybe a little bit lighter. Because it's going to dry darker. That's why. A little bit of blue in here too. Doesn't hurt. Good. All right.
Sorry, what were those colors again?
It's burnt umber, ultramarine violet, or purple. Any purple you have. It's more on the blue side. And cobalt blue and titanium buff. So basically the mid-tone color that I have, but with a bit of more cobalt blue in it. I'm going to add a tiny bit of more cobalt blue and just kind of enhance this blue in here. All right.
Is there burnt umber in there too?
Yeah. It's burnt umber, ultramarine violet, titanium buff, and then cobalt blue in it. Okay. good idea for now to, if you want, before we're done, is to put the orange in here inside the windows. You could put orange, just use cadmium orange if you have. If you don't have cadmium orange, tiny bit of cadmium red light in the burnt umber would be fine. Just to give it a burnt umber and titanium buff will be good too. So this is what I'm going to do actually. I'm going to take a tiny bit of red, and I'm going to take orange, burnt umber, add cadmium red light in it, tiny bit of touch of titanium buff, so it's not too dark. Bring in red in there with the brown, and let's put this here. We're going to tone it down with brown in a minute. Also, I can add a bit of titanium buff to make it a tiny bit lighter. That's perfect. Okay, and take brown, burnt umber, just burnt umber, on my round brush, and I'm gonna give this part of the window some dark brown in here, and this one here, and wait for it to dry. If it's not dark enough and I want it to be darker, then I will add a tiny bit of ultramarine violet to the brown. I'm going to tone down the orange with some brown right there. Good. Cleaning up a bit. And let it dry. Okay. I'm going to pause. All right, so I put a wall right here, and I'm assuming it's a rooftop between the buildings that will give it connection. It will connect this part with this part here. It's just brown, same mixture, burnt umber, ultramarine violet, and titanium buff. And I'm going to put another one right here. But this one is not straight. This one is not like a straight line. It's just kind of could be trees. It just connects these two together, so there's no gap in between. This is dry, so I'm adjusting the value. All right. I think it's enough for today. All right. We're good for this week. We've done quite a bit. Next week we'll continue with the rest of the roofs.